Rogue Record.
What's up, everybody? You're listening to Hustle Makes It Happen, a podcast about the grit, the determination, and the mindset that it takes to become a winner. Success is not an accident. It lives outside your comfort zone, in the trenches, where excuses are met by brick walls. So strap in, tighten up, and let's get ready to hustle. Hey, what's up, hustlers? I'm Justin. I got Garrison. I got Chase here with me. Today we're joined by a good friend of mine, Mr. Anthony Donze, owner of Black and Brew and Poorhouse Restaurants out in Hammond, Louisiana. Anthony, how are you, bud?
I'm good, man. Been looking forward to it.
Yeah, man, it's awesome to have you in here. Real quick, before we kick the show off, guys, this is how we start every show. We need your help. We need you to share the show to help us grow. If you get some value out of what Mr. Donze has to say today, if you get any value out of any of the content that we're putting out for you, we're going to continue to bring you this content, but we need your help to keep it going. We need you to share the show to help us grow. So if you get some value, share the show. It's very transactional, very simple. That's it, man. Anthony, whenever we made our list of people that we wanted to get in the first couple of episodes of our podcast, you were very high on the list for a couple of reasons. The first reason is because I love your restaurants.
I've seen tell. Yeah, I never could tell that.
Yeah, I've been in there a bunch, and hands down, some of the best food in Hammond, in my opinion. You guys' beer selection is awesome too, and I think that's what drew me in there. Was I was always just going in there drinking beer. A lot of times I was by myself, which I think people kind of think is weird. I don't know.
Weirdo.
I remember your spot at the bar.
I had a spot, man. I would go in, I would sit, I would have a couple of drinks and get some food. But through that, I started to recognize some qualities in you that I admired. Foremost was the fact that every time I went in your restaurant, which was quite often, you were there every single time. And whenever I approached you about coming on the show, I was at your restaurant eating dinner at like 8 o'clock at night. And in comes Anthony. And I was like, hey, it's a good opportunity to go get him to come on the show. But man, I'm really excited that you're able to join us.
I'm more than happy to be here. Share my whatever experiences I can share with you.
I think you're gonna have some, man. Tell us before we get started into like your hustle and your mindset and your grind. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So pretty much started in high school. Baseball, football. I was always the little white boy on the football field running around. He said I'd never make it to college. I took that to heart. I said, I'll show you. Ended up transferring from Mandeville High to Fontainebleau and playing for pretty much my second dad, Coach Conlon. Still keep in touch with him, still see him at the restaurants. But I told him what my mindset was. We had a previous guy in front of me, that was starting tailback. And I could legit say this is probably where my mindset started. One of my best friends, who was a quarterback, questioned our coach's decision. He said, do we want Anthony running the football? And Hunt's like, no, I want to go back and get Johnny. I told Hunt to shut up, just give me the rock. Well, ended up having 3 hugely successful seasons, rushed for over 1,000 yards all 3 seasons. Third season, senior season, I rushed for a little over almost 3,000 yards, and ended up getting a football scholarship. So that's where my hustle started. And then through college, I was fortunate enough to train with one of the top trainers who pretty much perpetuated my hustle. He instilled, Kurt Hester, he instilled work ethic to get what you want. Got home from college and was kind of lost when I got home from college because I was so used to that daily grind of school, football. Got home, I got into the restaurant industry, which took hold of me for a while. If anybody knows, there's dark sides to the restaurant. There's drugs, there's partying, there's showing up to work messed up. Like, there's a lot of aspects to the restaurant industry that I knew that I didn't want in any of my businesses that I knew of. So I got caught up in that for a little while, and then just kind of had an awakening one day. And I approached my dad and I said, hey, will you help me achieve my goal of being a business owner? And he said, yeah, sure. What you want to do? Gave him my business plan, and he said, here you go. So was it a mistake? No. We ended up having to close my first business. It was a health and nutrition store. I had it for 5 or 6 years. Hurricane Katrina hit and pretty much wiped everything off the face of the earth. So I took a step back and I started working in the plants. I was started off as a Boilermaker. So I was traveling around, ended up my last 4 years in the industry, I was in Minnesota, 9 months out the year. And my work ethic there was one of the things that got me to stay on longer at the turnarounds. You know, turnarounds go, they'll send your ass home early if you're not working. You're getting laid off. So I was always there from the very beginning to the very end because of my work ethic. I carried that over into saved up enough money and got a couple financial backers to cover the rest. And I came home and started looking for locations. After that, a good friend of mine, Saul Rubio, he hates hearing his name. He hates me mentioning his name as my mentor. I think he gets embarrassed about it, but he's got 16 hugely successful restaurants. La Coretta, 113, Street Side. He's hugely successful. But you ever go into one of his restaurants, especially the Hammond location, you know, Saul's older than me, and he's out there sweeping, cleaning tables, busting tables, talking to customers, guiding his staff, organizing his staff. He treats his staff incredibly well. His management staff, he treats incredibly well. He does events for his management staff to improve their abilities to run a restaurant and just overall just their lives. So I've kind of taken that philosophy from Saul, and I ended up taking on 2 new partners, Matt and Paul. They're not silent. We get the back office stuff done, but I took on 2 partners that are like-minded. I wanted them to give me the freedom to do my thing inside the restaurant. They accepted my offer because, like you said, I'm there all the time. They knew what my work ethic was. You can't open a business and expect someone else to run it for you from day one. One, you'll get robbed blind. 2, nobody's going to run a business like you are. Nobody's going to take care of your customers like you are. I don't care what business it is. But when you do find employees that do take care of your customers like you do, or even a quarter of what you do, you hold on to those employees and you treat those employees good. And I got that from Saul. That's what he does. He has good employees and he takes care of them. The other ones are just going to come and go. It's a restaurant industry in Hammond, College Town. It's a pass through for a lot of people. They're gonna go to college, work what they're gonna work, and then they're not gonna get stuck in the restaurant industry. Right now, it's hard. It's there's a little more hustle and grind right now, a little more work hours, but it is getting better. So, but that being said, I mean that's pretty much my background. I've always had a mentality of, some people have an addictive mentality. I'm addicted to success. And I think a lot of people that are addicted to success know that their limits to success can't be held up by stupid things like being lazy, drugs. And then if you're doing it for the money, it's probably not going to work out for you, because that's a whole different mindset for you. You don't want to open up your own business for the money. The money will come if you do it right. But if you do it for the money, you're going to be very disappointed, especially in the restaurant industry, at least for the first 5 years. It's a money pit for a little bit.
Touching on what you said just now, because we asked you your definition of success, and you said how you positively impact your employees' lives. That's a way that you measure some of your success.
It is. It's one thing to be a leader, But it's one thing to be a leader that people follow. You can be a leader all you want. I mean, yeah, he's a leader. He's also an asshole.
Yeah, he's a positional leader, not
exactly.
an actual leader.
He got that because he knows the business. But there's different aspects to being a leader. Like, you have to have people buy in. If you can have people buy into your vision, you're a true leader. And I think for the most part, all my employees have bought in to what we do. If me and my partners all agree, if we positively, so they're super well off, and hence why they're financial backers for me. But they're also super smart. We've learned a lot from each other. I've learned a lot from the business end from them, and I've learned a lot. They've learned a lot from me on the restaurant side. But one thing is constant with us is we do measure our success by how we impact our employees' lives. And with that, if someone enjoys working for you, they're going to do a hell of a job for you. They're going to give you great customer service. They're going to show up to work on time. They're going to show up when they're not scheduled to work, and they're going to ask if you need some help. If somebody doesn't show up, they're showing up. So it's very hard to find good people like that, but we have an entire team right now at Poorhouse Pizza that pretty much believes. I had a couple that went out and tried to explore greener pastures, and they were back within like 2 weeks. They were like, oh, nope, not going there. Yeah. So they went corporate.
I know I can see some of that in your restaurants too, because like all the times that I've been there, it's been a lot of the same folks, and you don't get that very often in the restaurant industry. Like
turnover's high.
Yeah, there's a couple of different places that I would go to. Like I went to your place, but it seemed like every time I came to your restaurant, you had like the same core team there, the same very consistent bartender, the same very consistent waiters and waitresses, and it was always a pleasant experience. I mean, it was like I was dealing with you every time I was there because you had coached and mentored those people to be part of your team. And I think anybody achieving any degree of success at all is going to attest to the fact that you cannot achieve success without building a team and being able to delegate responsibilities to that team and being able to trust your team members, but also being able to provide like positive feedback to your team members and them giving you feedback and you being receptive to that criticism. I think in the restaurant industry, I don't know shit about the restaurant industry, so I don't know how common that is, but it seems like to me that it's not super common because you don't see restaurants like that every day.
It's a give relationship in the restaurant industry. Give me your feedback and I'll give you mine, and then we'll make it happen. So it's you have to accept criticism. Look, I'm not perfect by any means. There are things I could tell you. One of my quick failures of late. We closed Black and Brew, and I wanted to take on. This goes back to making my employees happy, but I wanted to take on some of my employees from Black and Brew to Poorhouse. So I said, I'm going to cut out my salary and I'm going to go to work for one of my friends. Well, that was kind of a mistake. Me and my partners learned that. So we reeled everything back in. I said, all right, I got to get back in the restaurant. I was gone for like 3 months and things kind of started taking a little nosedive. But I was still active in it. I was still checking up when I got home and stuff like that. But I wasn't working in the business. I'm more working on the business now. But one little brief mistake, you kind of let the things go to the wayside and you get occupied with some other things. But yeah, I wanted to make my employees happy, but I didn't give them the tools to do the job that they needed to do. And a couple of those things were like, I didn't give some of my managers enough authority. I didn't give some of my wait staff enough responsibility. So we reeled a lot of that stuff in now, and we're way up on sales now that we reeled everything back in. So it's one of those things that can get away from you really, really quick in the restaurant industry.
So you talked about, now it seems like you're kind of a mentor, but we asked you, what would you tell yourself at 16 now with the lessons you've learned in life? And you said being around people who inspire and motivate you is important. You're a mentor now to your staff, but the mentors in your past, what kind of did you learn from them, and what did you take that has made you the mentor that you are to your people today?
One person I miss till this day, he's passed away, is my grandpa. It's my dad's dad. I was first grandchild on that side, and I had an attachment to him. He taught me how to fish, taught me how to draw. He put all of his kids through school working at Lucky Pierre's on Bourbon Street. So as a bartender, he took care of the girls too, but you know, back in the day. But he was just he was an incredible human being. I had such an attachment to him. He had a restaurant for a brief time, and then he got ill, and my grandma had to take over, and she about lost her goddamn mind. She lost her mind. So she heard I was opening up my restaurant. She said about 50 prayers to me.
Anthony, are you crazy?
Oh my God, she was a nervous wreck. Well, you know, 7 years later, 2 restaurants later, she's, hey, can you bring me some pizza? So it all worked out. But my grandpa was a big influence in my life, from good times to stern warnings. He was an incredible man. And then my father has been, he's an incredible, he's a quiet human being. Between him and my mom's the nurturing, loving, unconditional love type of person. She's been a housewife pretty much her whole life. My dad was blessed with the opportunity to support his family and let her be a housewife and take care of the kids. So love, compassion, I get that from my mom. My dad, I get the business side. My dad's financially smart, like just smart. He's stable. He's conservative. He's just smart with his money, and he taught me a lot with that. He also taught me a lot with work ethic. He's he was in sales for a while, medical sales, and then he's back in the cath lab now. He's about to retire. So, but he came out the cath lab, went to sales, back in the cath lab. But he don't stop. He doesn't stop. He works out 17 times a day. So he's got a financial retirement plan, but I don't think he has a retirement plan. I think he's gonna work out
for the mental grind.
Yeah, I think he's gonna work out 3 times a day when he retires.
That's my dad.
I can attest to that.
Yeah.
So you had an early childhood of sports, which you had some. It sounds like you had some great coaches and mentors in some of those earlier years too. And then you've taken it from after college. You're in the jiu-jitsu realm as well, right? So you're a practitioner of mixed martial arts.
15 years of jiu-jitsu, yeah. Fought a little bit in the cage, 5 years in the cage. Never went anywhere with that, but stayed pretty close to the game.
Right.
I still compete in jiu-jitsu. Just got done with my second bicep tear. So just got done with surgery about 2.5 months ago on that, but still on the grind with it.
Love it.
Oh, love it. It's one of those things where it's a mental clarity thing. I become a very big asshole if I don't go to jiu-jitsu class. If I don't have some type of physical activity after a hard day of work, I can't go to sleep at night. One, my mind's racing. I'm thinking about a million things that could go wrong. And jiu-jitsu is one of those things that clears my head. And my fiance, she's like, so when are you gonna give up jiu-jitsu? Like, when am I gonna be able to spend like Monday and Wednesday evenings with you? I'm like, jiu-jitsu was here before you. It's probably gonna be here while we're together. So
with that, I've sprinkled jiu-jitsu in my fitness throughout the years. I praise it at a high level. I don't practice it all the time, but I sprinkle it in. So I have a high appreciation for it. And something that you wrote kind of struck with me because I take it in my realm of fitness as well is you're winning or you're learning.
You are.
Right?
You
are. And I love that mindset. So knowing that you're bringing up people, you have a large semi-blended family with your fiance, right?
Yeah.
So
say the least.
So with that, and then you're bringing up subordinates through the restaurant that are really kind of your part of your family, and some of them may not have that background like you did of those coaches and mentors. How are you helping instill that in them, those traits that have come up through your ranks?
So I take a lot from helping with kids classes and coaching the adult classes in jiu-jitsu to the restaurant industry. I try to instill one thing jiu-jitsu has taught me is the ability to fight when you don't think you can actually win. It's one of those things when you have a 300-pound man sitting on top of you and you can't breathe, you're either going to give up or you're going to fight. It's the fight or flight. I mean, It's but it creates a mindset in you to where you just, I guess it's the competitor in me. It's failure. Failure scares the hell out of me because I've tasted failure and I don't ever want to taste it again. I don't think anybody that has tasted failure does ever want to taste it again. That's a driving force in my life is failure. One, I feel like if I fail in the restaurant industry, I made it this far, and if I fail now, it's on me. I'm the failure, not anything anybody else did. I'm the failure. I fail my family. My income's gone. I have to go look for another job. The restaurant industry is my life. Jiu-Jitsu, restaurant industry, and then my family. My family first and foremost, obviously, but everything that I do is for them. And I try to portray that to my fiance sometimes, but she thinks jiu-jitsu comes before her.
So did you always plan on being in the restaurant industry? You always think you were going to be in the restaurant industry, or is there a story there?
So I helped open up the first macaroni grill in Mandeville, and
I remember that.
Absolutely loved it.
I was from Slidell, so
okay.
I remember when that opened.
Yeah, it was a huge deal. Like, I was walking out of there with $600-700 a night and working 4 or 5 nights a week. You know, with the positives comes the negatives. Like I said, I got caught up with that fast cash and got caught up in the partying world. I hate to say it, but you know, drugs and partying.
It actually brought you to a dark time in your life.
It did.
And then you decided to go back to it with the stronger mental mindset that you have grown throughout the years, and then decide to go tackle it in a more positive way?
I wanted to bring the positive side to it, yeah, because I knew everybody knows that mental health is a huge thing right now. In the restaurant industry, there are a lot of incredible people that are in the restaurant industry, and they're doing it for survival. If you're in the restaurant industry, you're not as an owner, you do it because you love it. You love people. You love taking care of people. You love helping people. You love satisfying people. As a worker, it's hard. I work in the kitchen with a lot of my guys on a consistent basis. It's just one of those things where I like to bring as much ease and positivity to a very hard situation. My employees always tell me that they appreciate me. They appreciate me helping them in the kitchen, filling in this and that. I never question it. But if there's something I can do in this industry to make someone's life a little bit easier, because there are a lot of problems that personally I deal with people on a one-on-one basis, and it's a struggle to get through to some of these people that don't want to accept the help. And I came from that side of seeing how dark and dirty the restaurant industry can be, to seeing the other side of it too, where it's fun, it's a good workplace. We want to be one of the few restaurants that provide benefits for our employees. We're pushing forward to that right now. 401ks, health benefits, stuff like that most people can't afford. It's not a high paying industry by any means. You see a lot of successful restaurant owners, but moving up through the ranks, there's only so many ways you can go. But like I said, you hold on to the good employees that want to accept and believe in the business. But like I said, I just wanted to bring that positivity to the actual restaurant industry.
Whenever you're having those conversations with your employees, like, do you let them know that? Like, do you, I guess, make yourself vulnerable to
open
them?
up to them.
Yeah, you just
absolutely
just lay it out like it is.
They're gonna laugh at me when I tell them I did drugs and stuff like that. They're like, "Oh, what'd you do?" Well,
yeah, well, I mean, that's important, right? It's important for people to recognize that, like, whatever situation they're in, there are people that have gone through that, like, saw the negative outcomes of that, and were able to make a shift and then become successful at it.
Yeah, look, I'm not I'm not perfect. 2, I've come from a poor upbringing. We were living in the 9th Ward. My dad was working in the cath lab. My mom was working at a place called Annixter. Not making a whole lot of money. We're living in a 2-bedroom shotgun house duplex. By the grace of God, my dad got picked up out the cath lab to go start in the medical sales. So we were fortunate on that end. We moved up in the world. We moved from the Ninth Ward to Chalmette. So then we moved from Chalmette to New Orleans East briefly, and then New Orleans East to Mandeville. So, but I tell everybody, it's funny. A lot of people don't know my upbringing, but when you tell people you're from Mandeville, their initial thought is, ooh, a little rich, spoiled.
Uppity.
Yeah, uppity. Like, that hasn't always been like that. Look, my mom and dad built their house in Mandeville. After they got done, finished building their house, buying their dream property, they had $500 in the bank account. So I knew what it was to do without. But again, I had that unconditional love. I had that guidance from my parents. And that's one of those things I open up to my employees about. Look, I haven't always had it easy. I understand you're going through hard times right now. But the thing is, you got to focus on the positive things that are in front of you and make the best of them. We always tell everybody, leave the shit at the door when you walk in this place. This is a happy place because one person can tackle an entire restaurant. And it's just, I've seen that domino effect. And it's not good. It's not good. And that's sometimes, if those people aren't the ones that can leave it at the door, that's the ones you got to cut your ties with. But I'm always open to all of my employees. It's an open door policy.
Do you get to see some of the positive influence that you've had being spread by someone that you've positively affected? Do you see that trickling down too?
I do. I've had a couple of my best employees leave me, and you know, I'll remember this story. I think Justin, you remember Andy.
Yeah.
Big, tall Andy.
Yeah.
Sounds like Justin knows every employee.
He does.
Look, I've been there a lot. This is not a joke. I've been there.
Andy's.
Wait, does Justin have steak in your restaurant?
Not yet.
No, not yet. Maybe the third one.
Yeah.
But she got a job with Stryker, working in the hospitals, and she was turning 26. And I always tell my employees, I will never, ever be mad at you for leaving this industry to better yourself, no matter what. I've seen restaurant owners get pissed. Oh, you leaving me high and dry, blah, 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 to go take some stupid job. Why is it a stupid job? Why did I leave the boil making industry? I wanted to go improve myself. I wanted to do better for myself. I wanted to provide for my family more than being gone 24/7. Yeah, making over $100,000 a year was great, but I don't get to.
Yeah, what were you sacrificing to do it?
Right. Time. I don't get to see my daughter grow up. I don't get to see the stepkids grow up. I don't get to spend time with my fiance. But Andy sat in the parking lot, and she called me, bawling, crying. And she, every time she'd tell me something, she'd put the phone on mute. She said, I would start crying, put the phone on mute. She's like, I didn't want to tell you. I told her, I said, Andy, I'm beyond happy for you. So, but yeah, it's so good to hear sometimes, but I hear how my employees talk about me to other restaurant workers, and I'll make a post about hiring, and they'll make comments under it. Come work for the best boss. He makes life easy. It's a completely different mindset of management, and just like the compliments that they give me. And I see a lot of that unfolding in the restaurant. Like, I see a lot of people going, all right, what would Anthony do in this situation? So I feel like I made a positive impact in a lot of people's lives, and they made impacts in mine. So it's like I said, it's a give kind of industry.
Speaking of your employee quitting, you talked about a time that you almost quit. So Black and Brew, you said the money wasn't there the first few years. Tell us a little bit about that and kind of how you overcame that adversity, that difficult time.
It sucked. The first 2 years. So the first year was great. That's the newness. Everybody was like, oh, you're killing it, blah, 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 blah. And then the newness any restaurant, the newness will wear off, and then you hit that little slump, and then it'll come back up. We're doing it at Poorhouse right now. We hit that slump for a while. End of last year, we hit a bad slump, and now it's doubled. So it always comes back. But year two, tell you what, and I'm not shy about the numbers. We were doing well over 20-something thousand a week on a 78-person restaurant. Year two, we were doing about 10 a week. And I was like, okay, what's going on?
So pucker effect.
Yo. Yeah. It has you rethinking a lot of things.
Yeah.
I went from making, $130,000, $140,000 a year in the plants. I came home and first 2 years I made $31,000. Year 3 I made $48,000, and then I'm at where I'm at now, which is super comfortable. But yeah, it's one of those things where I didn't give up. I had a little chat with my dad about it. He's like, look, you made it this far. He's like, go one more year. That's 3 years is like the spot for restaurants. If you make it past 3 years, you're golden. So I put my head down and I got creative. I did some, we do some crazy stuff at Black and Brew as far as like the burgers of the month and stuff like that. I mean, we do burgers on apple fritters and we do burgers on king cakes and stuff like that. Like
so good.
King cakes. So I was like, all right, how weird does Hammond want to get? So I sat in my office for 2 weeks, and our motto for like that year 3, I swear to God, our motto for year 3 was let's get weird.
Nice.
And we got weird on some stuff, and Hammond reacted to it. It was
down for it.
Yeah, they were down for it. Because I'll tell you what, downtown Hammond, before we were there, about 10 years prior, that entire area was about 85% vacancy rate. They brought in this new DDD, and they completely turned things around. It's almost 100% occupied now in downtown Hammond. It's a great little area. Need to work on parking a little bit, but it's a great area. We got in right before the bubble got big. And Hammond's known for its restaurants. There's 26 restaurants in a 1 square mile radius. It's crazy.
Wow.
So a lot of competition. With this new venture, we're moving Black and Brew. And I think we're going to be happy being actually outside of downtown Hammond because we'll be more of a destination spot. But it's one of those things where, all right, we're moving out of downtown Hammond. Let's get weird. So we started thinking of things. We started thinking of names. And we came up with, there's 3 partners. We came up with 3 Wise Monkeys. It was taken. So we're doing Wise Monkeys Brewing and Eats. We're going to brew our own beers. And we're getting weird. The guys that we have brewing for us, Danny, Luke, and Brad, they have Deadbeat Brewing, and they do some weird beers.
I love it.
Dude, I love their beers. And so we're going to get pretty freaky deaky on the beers. But
Hey, I'm going to be there for it. I want you to know that.
it's going to be fun.
Yeah, we're going to need the invite to the soft opening, please.
You got it. Here, open invite right now. Open invite.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's about pushing your limits.
It sounds like you really tapping in right now, like listening to your progression. Because I've got to read a little bit about it now, like listening. Your creative juices are like really starting to flow.
They don't stop, man. They don't stop. I'm sitting. My fiance gets on me at night. She's like, "Hey, when you gonna come to bed?" I'm like, "Give me 3 hours. I'm good. I'm just got home from work. Give me 3 hours. I need to calm down."
Does that resonate with you?
Bro, it's so bad. I could see it too. I could imagine being at your house and Christina being like, "What are you gonna?" Christina, right? It's,
Kristen.
Yeah,
Kristen.
Kristen. I'm sorry.
That's her.
Christina was. No, I'm just kidding.
That's my sister.
That was the other one. No, but I remember, like, I can just imagine you two sitting there and like, Anthony, when are you gonna come to bed? And you're like, hold on, I'm thinking about putting peanut butter and jelly on a bacon cheeseburger.
Look, she gets all me. All right, so her and I have.
That was such a slapper too, by the way.
Her and I have this weird relationship. Like, I love Kristen to death, and we're polar opposites on a lot of stuff. She is this clean cut, super educated. Look, she got her master's at 21. She's a CPA.
Man, you're telling my story right now, dude. I love this.
It's freaking hilarious. And like, she has no tattoos. We met, brief little story. We met at the gym. She was going through her divorce. And I heard she had a kid. Well, we start talking to each other at the gym, and daycare lets out. And I was like, hey. I was like, which one of these are yours? And it was like 50 kids running around. She goes, oh, all of them. I was like, oh. There was a legit 4 kids running around, but I was like, oh. I was like, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. We didn't talk for like 2 weeks. But so you know what? I'm going to give this a shot. We gave it a shot. And again, we're polar opposites, but we argue over some of, I I don't even want to admit this on a podcast, but all right, she's right majority of the time.
Oh, he said it.
It's on the record.
It's out there.
It's she's not going to listen to this either, but I have a lot of pride. She knows that. She's Italian, I'm Italian. We both have a lot of pride. She'll say stuff, and she's like, I told you that 2 weeks ago, asshole. And she's like, now you're claiming it for your idea? I'm like, she told me like the king cake thing was her idea. The donut, she wanted to do this poor girl the donut idea was hers. We did a donut burger, and she scarfed it down so bad, so fast, that about 3 hours later, we were visiting one of Saul's other restaurants' grand openings. And she went in the bathroom and chunked it up. Like she legit she didn't eat the fries, she ate the donut burger. She's like, it was so good. So I do incorporate a lot of her ideas. She's got a little crazy mind to her too. She kind of sees where my focus is and the whole let's get weird thing. So we go back and forth with a lot of stuff, but she's an insight into some stuff, and she helps me out she's a CPA, so she helps me out on the financial side with some advice on some things. She's also she's a fraud CPA, so she's hardcore.
Right.
And yeah, she's been good to me with that. But yeah, the whole let's get weird thing is just I carry that through all my restaurants. It's funny.
Speaking of the fiance, we asked you something that you're most proud of, and it was her and how well she's doing in her career.
Yeah, so she was at Ernst & Young for a while. One of the big four, they call it, big four, big five. She traveled. She makes me super, like, she's got triplets that are 14 now, Roman, Luke, and Kara, and then she's got Gianna, who's 11. She's accepted my daughter into the family, so we have 5. But she was traveling. She was working out of country for, I think, the first year or 2 of her. She was able to provide for the family at home. So I think her ex-husband, Matt, had stayed at home to watch the kids while she was traveling. So to watch how she's raised these 4 kids, is incredible. Like, I have my hands full with. I mean, can you imagine having 3 kids at one time? Like,
no.
It blows my mind. Much less carry. She almost carried them the full term, which is another feat in itself. So yeah, she makes me super proud. She worked for EY, and now she's working for Energy. She's a manager for payments. So she handles a ton of money every year, but her superiors see in her tons of quality, and she's packed with knowledge. She's packed with hard work. She inspires me a lot. Whether she knows it or not, she does. She motivates me beyond. Yeah, because I see her success, and like there's nobody there except for customers. You know, it's a weird thing. There's nobody there to see my success and say, hey, you're doing a good job. Yeah, you get told that every once in a while, but you know, when you have like VPs and presidents of a company saying, hey, you're talented.
It's pretty reassuring.
Yeah, your success is customer satisfaction.
Exactly. Yeah. So
it's a whole different
thing.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
And running your own business, she's like, I wouldn't want to have my own business if it came down to it. I would never want to have my own business. So we got a mutual love-hate relationship.
Yeah, I want to go back a little bit and talk about obstacles. So you mentioned closing Black and Brew and opening up this new restaurant. So you told us a little bit before the show started, but there's a story as to why Black and Brew, which, look, my opinion again, the best restaurant in downtown Hammond, hands down. And I think really over the last 5 or 6 years, it's really become a staple of downtown Hammond. You made a decision to close those doors and move to another location, unknown how that's going to pan out. Talk a little bit about obstacles and whenever shit comes your way that you are not prepared for or that you're not ready for mentally or financially. Whenever obstacles come at you, what do you do?
So first obstacle we faced with Black and Brew was the location. That restaurant, that location had been 7 different restaurants prior to us. None of them lasted over a year or 2.
Wow.
I told everybody where I was going. They're like, "Oh, Jesus, no, don't go there."
It's haunted.
Yeah,
Bad omen.
it actually is haunted.
Yeah, it's
I ain't
legit
gonna lie,
haunted. No, I saw your videos.
haunted. I've gotten stuff thrown at me in that
yeah, it's
restaurant.
haunted.
I kid you not.
What?
I've gotten coffee cups thrown at me in that restaurant. It's weird.
That's crazy.
It's like a weird magnetic force in there or something. I don't know. But his name's Bob. He used to sit at the bar. He'd pull chairs out for people and stuff.
Throw
He's cool,
coffee
right?
cups.
He threw a coffee cup. He pulled a Plinko board off the wall, the plastic cover to the Plinko board. He legit, you got the video. It was wiggling. You can see it in the video, wiggling, and then it flies across the room. It was crazy. I'm like, I had to go back and watch it like 100 times. I'm like, I can't believe what I'm seeing. But that location there was nobody can make it work. And again, you're not going to make it to college and play football. You're not going to make that work. Don't tell me I can't do something. That's the one thing that will motivate me till the day I die. If you tell me I can't do something, guess what? I'm going to prove to you I can. So we got that location, and we were there for almost 6 years. And we threw, I think the third year, we threw a broke the curse party. That's what everybody was calling it. It was like, oh, you broke the curse, you broke the curse. But, man, we would pack that place out on hot August nights. We would pack it out on St. Patrick's Day. We were having some legit, like, great after-hour parties there and stuff like that. People were enjoying. Never had a fight in that restaurant. Never had people passing out and stuff like that. But, hey, you know, that's normal. That's par for the course.
Yeah, that's normal at Hammond.
I never passed
Right.
out in that restaurant.
No, he didn't.
Not once.
Nope. But yeah, so we made it work there, and then that was the first obstacle. Second obstacle was year 2. Financially, it was just one of those things where I had to buckle down and not let myself fail. That was just the mentality. You know, you got to talk to the people that you owe money to and say, hey, I got you coming. I got you coming. We're going to improve this. We're going to improve that. I got you coming. And I was fortunate enough to have some people in my corner that believed in it as much as I did, and it ended up coming around, and we made it happen. But there are some times where things get away from you, and you lose focus. And you know, in the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, it's one of those things where you got to work on the business or in the business. I was focused primarily on working in the business for the first 2 years. Year 3, I was able to focus on the business. I was able to get out, network, promote, talk. My fiance always rags me, but she's like, just shut up. You're always talking about yourself. I'm like, no, I'm promoting myself. Like, I'm letting people know that this is what I have. This is what I'm proud of. And it's a constant thing. You have to constantly promote yourself. You have to constantly promote your business. You have to be proud of it. People have to know that you're proud of it. If people feel that pride, if you can make them feel that pride, they're going to be like, man, you know what? I'm going to come check you out at your restaurant. And I'm still surprised to this day where I meet people in Mississippi, and they're like, I've been to your restaurant. We drive from Macomb. We drive from Jackson to come to your restaurant. Like, damn, you know. I got a guy up in Jackson, Mississippi. He's opening up a brewery up there. Him and his wife, Jeff, they drive down from Jackson. They come eat at the restaurant all the time. So we got people from all over the place. But it's one of those things where you have to make people believe. If you can make people feel like you feel about something, it's always a good thing. Always a good thing. But yeah, obstacles are either going to not get over them or you're going to get over them.
Yeah, you're either going to give up or fight, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the reason I wanted to mention that is because it circles back around to what you said a few minutes ago about you're either going to give up or you're going to fight. Like, everyone that's in business or everyone that's in business they're going to face obstacles, right? And they're going to have decisions to make, and they can either let the obstacles overcome them or they can stop, get creative, and figure out a way to get over it. And I think, like, circling back to that give up or fight mentality for you is, I mean, you've had to overcome some pretty substantial stuff. I mean, you mentioned Hurricane Ida, like, damn near totally destroying your building.
Yeah, it messed up a lot of people's businesses.
Yeah, I mean, COVID was terrible on the restaurant industry.
COVID was terrible. Now everybody's paying for it, though.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know, you got to ask yourself a question. What do you get out of quitting? What do you get out of giving up? You want to be labeled a failure? Do you want to be labeled a quitter? That's not me. That's not the mentality that I have. And you got to look at it two ways. What do you get out of quitting? What do you get out of succeeding?
That's a powerful question.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get anything out of Failure. Nothing. Depression.
Yeah.
I mean,
You feel like more of a failure?
right. Feel like more of a failure, and you beat yourself up over it every day. But when you're successful, it's like, all right, I did this. I know how to do this. I learned. And it goes back to not losing. You're learning. Learn from your mistakes. You know what? We ordered too much beer on this shipment here, and this is going to hurt us next month.
I'll do what I can. Yeah, I'll do what I can to help.
I mean, just come see me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, when you see these beers come out, you get a little hyper excited sometimes, and you're like, oh, I got to get this beer. Like Jester King just came out to Louisiana, and I bought a ton of Jester King. So I told my partners, I said, beer cost might be a little higher this month, but maybe we're selling them. So, but you learn from your mistakes, just like little things like that, and you learn what not to do, and then you learn what to do. You learn how to talk to people. You learn how to get through to people. You learn how to coach people. It's just one of those things. But you learn how to be a good listener. So you have to be in the restaurant industry. You got to draw a line sometimes. For the people that have been with me for a long time, they're like family. So you tend to listen to them a little more in depth. You tend to take things to heart a little bit. For some of the newer people, if they're looking for guidance, you give it to them. But in the restaurant industry, you gotta kind of keep your distance. There are some negative things in the restaurant that you have to overcome. People lie. People lie like dogs. And if you piss somebody off in the restaurant industry, they're gonna try and smear you. And there's been a couple instances over the years of that. But the truth always prevails. It always comes out. And that's one of the other things that you have to overcome in the restaurant industry is people trying to smear your success. They know you're successful. They know you're a visible person in the community. And we do a lot for the community with options, Special Olympics, all the dogs, Tangi Humane Society, stuff like that. We do a lot. We commit a lot of time, a lot of money to the college, SLU Athletics. Our partners are super big sponsors of that. We host a coaches show, baseball show, football show. We do all of that. So when you're in the public eye, obstacles become just a common thing. It kind of gets built into you. You know what to expect. And I think if you prepare yourself, I think I wrote a little quote down there for you about the warrior in the garden.
And I was about to steer you right into that.
It's look, I live and die by that, man. I'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener and a warrior. You just have to prepare yourself for the worst outcome, because if you prepare yourself, like jiu-jitsu mentally prepares you to overcome tough situations. You learn to think on the fly, and when those situations arise, it's like you always think about, like, it could be worse. Man, how do I overcome this? This is easy. I had a 300-pound guy sitting on my face the other day. Like,
not in a good
comfortable
way.
situation.
No, it's like stomach in my like face, like can't breathe, can't turn. Like, what do I do? So I always think to myself, it could be worse. How do you maneuver out of this? How do you figure it out? So it's a tough industry. I think it's rated as the second toughest industry in the world.
Yeah, and here you are just crushing it. I'm actually really glad you brought that quote up, because I was fixing to go right down that road towards it. But where did that quote come from? You'd rather be a warrior in the garden than a gardener?
It's a Chinese proverb.
That's it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's if you can, I'm into like Japanese. I love Japanese culture because it's a culture of, with the samurais, it's a culture of respect. It's a culture of tenacity. And it's a culture of peace.
Patience.
Yeah.
Discipline.
Yep. All of that. Yeah. So it's like one of those things, like, do you want to piss off a samurai? Probably not. Do you want to live next to a samurai? Probably so. Do you want to live with a samurai? Probably so. Then you know they're going to protect you. You know they're pretty much ready at any given time. But they're also peaceful. They don't want to use their sword. You don't ever want to use your sword unless you have to. So that's what I tell everybody too. On my end, I think Andy has seen me at that point one time, but I tell everybody, you don't want to get me to that next level. I stay here a lot of the time, right here in the middle. But there's very few times where I had someone bring drugs into my restaurant one time. A back sack I walked into the back and I was like, what in the hell is that smell? I found a backpack. Dude was selling drugs at the back of my restaurant. So I got to level 3, DEFCON 3 on that one. But it's one of those things where if I respect you, respect me. You know, don't bring that crap into my restaurant. But again, drugs are prevalent in the restaurant industry, so you gotta kind of roll with it. So I let him go, almost by the back of his pants. But
easy decision.
Yeah, very very easy decision. So, but yeah, it's just one of those things. You know, I'd rather be that warrior prepared for anything than the gardener not prepared for the tough occurrences.
Yeah, I liked that. When that jumped out, so we made sure we wrote it on our little note sheet. That's
Always.
it, man. We've been talking for 50 minutes. I think we got another 50. I don't know.
Time flies in this room.
Yeah, it always seems to go so fast. Nah, man, we're super glad that you agreed to come on with us. I know you're a busy dude, and you know it takes a lot for you to cut some time out to come spend it with us. But I definitely appreciate it. I want to say thank you.
I don't mind helping out one of my best customers.
Hey, man, I'm gonna come help you out, get rid of some of that beer.
I enjoy it, man. No, if what little bit of insight I could share help somebody, hey.
So for me, listening to Mr. Donze's story, for our listeners, I want you to take away that some of the things through his childhood and now through his adulthood as well, he's putting himself in uncomfortable situations throughout life. In jiu-jitsu, he's putting himself there, and it seems like his ability to handle situations in real life in real time seem a lot easier in the mental space for him. I take that, and I know fitness is what correlates his. Mine does too, but that doesn't mean that necessarily has to be for everybody. So it's finding those uncomfortable situations sometimes that you're putting yourself in to learn more about yourself. It makes it a lot easier for this gentleman right here to be achieving that next level of success in life. Yeah, that's what I've taken out of this from my own personal experience, because that's why I'm here, is to learn from this guy too.
You have to challenge yourself.
Yeah,
you have to.
For me, it's the whole, like, it really resonates with me a lot whenever you say that you're terrified of failure. That's a big thing for me personally. Like I'm always so afraid to fail at something that a lot of times I won't start something or I won't jump into it because I overthink the process and think about all the things that could go wrong and think about all the people that told me that things were going to go wrong. And I just let this like negative mind loop stop me from doing something that I really feel like or think that I should be doing. And it's a fear of failure that motivates me to not do things sometimes. And I love the way that you turn that around and turn that into a positive, where the fear of failure keeps you from not doing, not starting. What's the word I'm looking for? Not moving forward, right?
Taking that step.
Yeah, it does. Like, you take the fear of failure, you somebody tells you can't do something, you say, hold my delicious beer at Black and Brew and watch this. That to me is a big takeaway. You know what I mean? I like the way you were able to flip that negative mental mindset. It's the same occurrence, right? It's the same thing. It's a fear of failure, but you look at it from the yes I can, watch me do it mindset, rather than the maybe these people are right. Yeah, overanalyzing it and not getting started. That's huge.
But how many times has the solution to a problem that you thought was so big that you'd never be able to overcome it? How many times has that solution been nothing?
Dude,
it's just,
so since we started our business in 2020, we just started the podcast 3 weeks ago. Starting the podcast was so much easier than starting the business. Mm-hmm. The business, I think the process of starting our development company took months. I mean, not just because we had to like scrounge money together, but we were like looking for the perfect deal, like the perfect deal exists somewhere, right? We were looking at all the challenges and things we were going to have to overcome and kind of playing it slow and taking, hitting the brakes on some of that. But through that and through growing our own business, like growing our development company into what we've built up to this point, shit happens, and whenever it happens, it just happens. Just figure out a way to overcome it and move forward. That's why whenever we decided that we were going to start the podcast, the conversation was literally like, hey, you want to start a podcast? Here's an idea. We didn't start thinking about, well, how we don't have any of this stuff. You know, we don't have podcasts and shit. We don't know how to soundproof a room and do all this stuff that Jim does. But like, we're going to start. All right, let's start. Let's figure it out and start.
Just
you know
go
what I mean?
for it.
And I think that's probably one of the main hindrances for people being successful is that they won't start. And one of our previous guests, Miss Jamie Glass, the Queen of Sparkles, she just said, like, be a doer. You know what I mean? You're never going to move the needle forward if you're not willing to put the work in.
That's the thing about the entrepreneurial experience. Like, there's workers and there's entrepreneurs. So it really is a different mindset. But I don't think there's ever been a problem I've faced that hasn't had a solution.
That's right.
Literally just have to find it. And it may not be the perfect solution, but it's a workaround.
Yep.
That's right.
Got to do something about it.
Yeah.
Mr. Donze, tell our listeners that are local where they can find you. Plug yourself. Tell us.
So Black and Brew was in downtown Hammond. We are moving. We purchased a 6 acre lot on the water. There's about a 60-acre pond behind there. It's a beautiful, beautiful location, and there's plenty of parking. So we're moving on West Club Deluxe behind Boat City, USA, in Hammond. It's right off the I-55 Hammond exit, so you can catch us there. We're moving. That's going to be Wise Monkeys Brewing and Eats. Hopefully we'll be open by the end of the year. We're implementing some stuff at Poorhouse Pizza right now to help make our lives a little bit easier. And then the second location is Poorhouse Pizza. We do Neapolitan-style pizzas over there, wood-fired pizzas. We have a big wood-fired oven that's visible from the entire restaurant. Beautiful outdoor patio. Dogs are welcome. We do a lot of stuff with dogs on the patio. We have over 12 different pies you can purchase. We have sandwiches. We smoke all of our own meats. It's a great little concept. I love it. It's really starting to catch on now, too. So that's at 505 West Thomas Street, and I'll be damned, but I can't remember the address of the new location yet, so it's still new to me. But it's on West Club Deluxe in Hammond, and if anybody knows Catfish Charlie's, it was a staple back in the day, so we're going to kind of revive that.
Yep. What about your personal channels, Instagram, Facebook? I don't know if you want more followers or not?
Yeah, sure. IG is I'm half guard sorcery and a Jiu Jitsu little theme, and then Facebook you can just find me under Anthony Donze, and then we have both of our business pages. Wise Monkeys Brewing and Eats is on Facebook and Instagram, and Poorhouse Pizza is on Instagram and Facebook. We're about to start I'm not starting it because I'm not up to date with it, but what's that little TikTok thing?
Yep.
Yeah.
Been hearing a lot about it.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're going to do a little TikTok over them and let the girls run it.
Sweet.
That's right. Garrison, any closing thoughts?
No, I think we got it all covered. Thanks for coming.
No,
Excited to
thank you,
check
guys.
out the new restaurant.
I'm more than happy to have y'all at
Come drink some beer.
at the opening day.
Yeah, I'll be there.
I will definitely be there.
Me too. Let me know when.
I'll be sure to free up some time for y'all.
Sweet.
No, that's it for this episode. Thank you, Anthony, for coming in. Viewers, listen, we want to keep bringing you hustlers. You have to send us hustlers. Hit us in our Instagram box, our Facebook box, our personal boxes, whatever. We want hustlers like Mr. Donze on this show. Send them to us. Let us do the research. Let us find them. We'll do the hard work. Just send us names or tag them, whatever that channels that we can get them on. We're going to get them here.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. That's it.
That's it.
Anthony, closing thoughts?
Nope, I'm good to go. I think I talked enough.
Nah, bro, it was perfect. Loved it. Loved it. All right, folks, that's it. That's another episode of Hustle Makes It Happen, the podcast. Until next time, remember, keep your head down, keep your eye on the ball. Hustle makes it happen, but most importantly, have fun.